What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Faqs Boys, and welcome everybody once again to the Faqs Project. Today, we're talking about this is actually part two. I'm here with Adam Downing from Resolve Comics. We're here to talk about Keeper's Oath, which is going to be released on Kickstarter August 27th. And the biggest thing, of course, this is he's jumping into. And I'll talk about it more into this because we got to get a little bit more deep into the lore of this entire story. But the big subsequent thing is that we talked about the fact that, this is all relevant to, like a couple of major pieces of IP and anime. You talked about Black Clover, you talked about Naruto.
Thanks.
And the thing is, but the way that people will look at this is that it totally jumps into the fantasy realm.
Right.
So, for one, thank you again. And I do want to talk about this main character. So the main character we talked about before, his name's Axiis. Of course, a very, and the thing is, we talked about him before to where he has a particular mindset that I feel as though, is very familiar to myself.
Right.
I got friends like this and everything that. You know what I'm saying? He is, of course, a part of like a whole crew that are starting to come into a ripe age to where they're all figuring out what to do with their lives. All of his friends are pretty much all commoners. They all, you know what I'm saying? They're all basically going to work with their fathers at their shops and everything like that. But the thing is, Axiis has never had those thoughts. He's had high aspirations, even though he's failed at this academy entrance to become a dragon rider 6 times.
Yes.
But he's not giving up. He's not giving up. But mainly what I wanted to talk about with you and the question that I wanted to ask is that what makes Axiis this person? There's this big family trait around him, and what makes him tick? Because obviously he's not like his friends. His friends are coming of age and they're just like, oh, I gotta. The biggest thing for me to do is I gotta make some money. We're out here playing games all this time. But the thing is, like Axiis is like, I just want to
track minded.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm always going to be here. Like, y'all may not want to rock with me, which is fine, but this is what I want to do. So, Axiis.
I think the thing that makes Axiis the way he is, it's really, I think it was just at least when it comes to his, like we're talking about, like his one track mind and like his fixation on becoming a Dragon Knight, that was definitely instilled in him by his grandfather. Like his grandfather kind of died when he was like, kind of younger, but like in those few years that he had with him, like they were together a lot. He kind of grew up hearing, tales of like Dragon Knights. It was like kind of just this thing with Axiis that even after his grandfather passed, for some reason, he kind of never, he was just always fixated on it. And it's like, that's kind of the internal, like inside the home reason why he's like that. But like externally, when you look at the society of the Cloud Kingdom and just like the Seven Kingdoms in general, or at least the Cloud Kingdom and the Cloud Kingdom's allies, like it's definitely like a very like militarized society. It's definitely like very heavy, like centered on military power and military might, because at the end of the day, between the Seven Kingdoms, there is, whether or not it's like a proxy war or straight up conflict, like there is, a 24/7 like territory dispute. Like everybody's always vying for power and territory. There's always, so it's like, the society is set, and with like the Dragon Knight reclass tournament, like the fact that like they make a spectacle out of like, your classification and like how powerful you are as a Dragon Knight, you get, a level of status. It's also, it is also one of the avenues like of upward mobility in society. Like even if you're a commoner, if you're somehow blessed with like a high enough magical power, or you're just blessed with, like you're blessed with like, power and talent or what have you, and you make it as a Dragon Knight, like you can achieve a level of status for yourself. Especially it's I mean, it's kind of like it's like in real life. It's like the U.S. You know what I mean? Like how the army is kind of an avenue. It's like I think it
Yeah.
is the biggest. It has always been the biggest. You know what I mean? Source of like upward mobility in society. It's the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even amongst the commoners, or better yet, when somebody does become a Dragon Knight, you talk about like not only the classes, but like the
Hmm.
almost like a rank
Yes.
at where you're basically going to be.
Yes.
So the whole point of him joining this elite fighting class is
Yep.
because the Dragon Knights have history.
Yes.
So like the
Yeah.
biggest thing among them
Yeah.
is to of course getting to a certain level. It's not even the reaching to the point to where they're going to become a dragon knight. It's almost like once I get here, I have to get higher.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely always there is that air of like you could call it competition, but it's like, yeah, it's like that striving for like, oh, you always want to get to the next level. Like there is that element, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
once again, it's fueled by the fact that I mean, they're always at war. They're always fighting for
Yeah,
something, you know what I mean? So it's just baked into the fabric of the society.
yeah. Now when we're talking about like this, just the makeup
Hmm.
of the characters that are basically within this book. You have orcs, you have humans, and then
Right.
you have dragons. Because there's dragon knights and everything in this particular thing, it's almost like there's a bonding that is taking place amongst humans and dragons.
100%.
But yet the protagonist, or I'm sorry, the antagonist in this book are these orcs. What basically brought to a head the point where dragon knights became a thing,
Hmm.
and the orcs, of course, went into the subterranean aspect of society.
Yeah. Okay. So, and we kind of talked about this last
Uh-huh.
time. I don't know if we were live, but like, so in terms of the Dragon Knights, or not even Dragon Knights, but just like the kind of symbiosis that humans and dragons have in this universe. That stems from like a pact that was made, 3,000 plus years prior to issue number one, right?
Hmm.
And it's like back then the planet the world was a different place. Like it wasn't just where you have kind of humans as like the apex running around currently. Back then it was like you had demons, you had titans, like you had a whole nother like different classes of, whole different, what I mean, levels of being. And it was hard. It was really fucking hard. So eventually, it was constant fighting. It
Yeah.
was hell on it. You know what I mean? So it was a constant fight for your survival. Eventually humans and dragons ended up making a pact with each other. And it was kind of like it's like similar in the like how in the way that like humans and like canines like function together. Like it was something like that. And that was kind of the birth of like Dragon Knights as we know them, or like the first, iteration of that. Um, and then, I guess if we're gonna go into the history, like you have the Demon King Roth, who was just like out here fucking shit up. He was leading the demons. He was doing his thing. I mean, everyone, him, the demons, like all of like the titans, like the higher
Hmm.
species, they basically ended up getting sealed away. Um, and it, so it was like they used gates, right, to seal these beings away, and like there's 7 gates all across the world, all connected, all like working together to, what I mean, uphold the seal. Around these gates kind of sprung up the kingdoms, right? Sprung up what would become the kingdoms.
So around every single gate, there
Yeah.
is a kingdom that is surrounding it, almost as a
Yes.
protector,
Right.
or better yet, as you namely call this, the,
Keepers.
the
Right.
keeper, the keeper's oath.
Oh yeah, I didn't even. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. So I mean, that was the whole thing. Like there are gate people. All right. So there's like mages that were, clans of mages that were assigned to like kind of watch over these gates and, keep the gates, right? And like, there's a whole thing about like the gates, like a big part of them, they utilize light magic, right? Because like, demons, they kind of function. Demons find primarily function on dark magic.
Yeah.
Um, so like, these gates, they use light magic. Light magic users are the ones who maintain them. Um, this is so like I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but
Ah,
like
this is what I need.
yeah, and like all right, like jumping back, like during the kind of Great War that like resulted in like all these like kind of beings like being sealed away. Like it was light magic users who kind of led the charge, and like it's a very like you know if we're dropping spoilers, like light magic is a very is like probably the most powerful form of magic if you like
Mm.
know what you're doing with it, right? Because it's like you can siphon. It's like you can siphon all types of magic. You can siphon magic from like you know what I mean. It's like you
Yeah.
can it extracts magic in
Now,
all forms.
how does that correlate with Axis? Because it seems as though there's a lineage to where it kind of fits from the climax, and I'm not going to reveal it from the climax that ends
Right,
in this first volume's ending. There's, we find that there's a certain skill that Axis extracts,
right,
and it's like if light magic is this thing that basically is somewhat very powerful within this world, and yet the only time we see it in volume one is there.
right.
Does that mean that his grandfather and maybe a mage from back then were together
Uh huh.
and basically created a what a just a family tree of light uh basically light magic
Like
users?
yeah. I like to a degree, because
Hmm.
like I will say this is all spoiler alerts going
Yeah.
forward. Like I would say the Men in Axis family, there is a thing where like they do everything for like strong women. Like
Hmm.
it is a thing. So like Axis' grandmother, like she wasn't like I don't think she was in the field like that, but she was like she did graduate the academy, and she was like she was strong. Like she didn't really get active. She was more of a socialite, and like she kind of like went through the academy because she was like belonged to a military family. But
Okay.
like she was a strong part. Like she was strong. She just never you know what I mean like got in there like that. Um, Axis's mom. Oh God, Axis's mom. There's a whole thing about her. A whole subplot. Whole. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
all
Whole
right.
thing about her lineage. She's crazy. You know what I mean?
Because I'm about to say the majority of what we got into was his
His
father's side.
paternal, yeah, his paternal
Yeah.
line. Yeah. That's like that his yeah, so Axis has but mainly Axis thing is like he gets his light magic attribute from his father's side.
Okay. Got it.
His grandfather, like in terms of like these higher level like offensive techniques, I'm sure like his grandfather, because like his Axis's grandfather was a prodigy, kind of like Axis, definitely like Axis. Probably I
Hmm.
don't know if he was like I'm not going to compare them, but like he was definitely a light magic prodigy. Like he was just he was really good with incantations, and he knew like the ins and outs of the fucking attribute. So I'm sure like the types of techniques that Axis will be pulling off in the third arc. Like I'm sure if his grandfather was really like a fighter, he would. I mean, even if he like, I'm sure he could pull those off. I'm sure he
Um,
could pull off like the light speed moves,
yeah.
siphoning magic. He had pure. I mean, you know, he was a keeper. Like he had purification techniques on lock. Um, fun fact: a lot of like they're like pre-programmed like incantation like spells in Axe's wand that we see on like the last page of issue number one.
Hmm.
That's the kind of sword that the sword wand thing that his grandfather left him, right? So it's like there are different modes or like attacks that like can be activated with purification, like the purification spells that would normally be used to maintain the gates, or like you know when you get to like higher level shit, I don't know, whatever the fuck. Anyway, so like certain purification like spells that are used to maintain the gates, if you use like if you kind of run it through the wand, it
Hmm.
like you know what I mean. It's like you can activate different modes and shit, and that's like a whole thing.
Here's another question.
What's up?
Why is Axis a commoner? Because if his family lineage is this strong,
Yes.
and pretty much you talk about how his grandfather, of course, at one point in time was this prodigy. So obviously he had some type of class within the realm.
Right.
So why are they living here in the Cloud Kingdom amongst everybody else?
Thank you for guiding my high rambles with these
Nah, you're
questions,
good.
bro. So Axis is a commoner because like his grandfather fucked up his nobility, his family's nobility for everybody
Now, when you say nobility,
coming
like at
after him.
one point, like he was like a prince.
Sorry. Yeah. Not like a prince, but they were a noble family because once again they were Axis. You know, his lineage. He comes from a family of keepers, gatekeepers, right? Light
Okay,
magic
got it.
users. Um, and the like gatekeeper clans are noble clans technically. Like they, you know what I mean? Like they are noble clans. They are, there's kind of a golden rule once again when we're going back 3,000 years or like, you know, 2,000 fucking 900 and fucking, 50 years or whatever. You know what I mean? And then we talk about like the light magic users who played a big part in like sealing away like the demons and all these creatures in the underrealm. But like, they kind of the power they used to do that was, one of these a few of these light magic spells. Like they got used to like siphoning magic from everything and everybody. They would fuck it up. They would hurt people sometimes, and
Hmm.
they're powerful and like they kind of got detached. They lost sight of their own strength, and they also kind of got corrupted by their own strength.
Yeah. So for the most part, did his grandfather just get banished, and it was like you're no longer allowed to keep your title?
Sorry, yes, he did because sorry, going back, it's like light magic users after all that shit happened and those corrupt
Yep.
light magic users were taken out. Right, there was a rule. Right, they were light magic users were banned from offensive spells. Right, going
Oh,
forward, you know, uh, offensive light magic would be censored. It would be redacted. Like it would be hidden from the public.
right.
It's not, what I mean? Common knowledge would be that light magic is only used for purification spells and otherwise
Hmm.
it's weak, right? So there's a golden rule, moving back up, in the modern times, there's a golden rule with gatekeeper families, who's
Right.
Axis's family, right? Including them, which is that they're not to partake in offensive action. They're not to use light magic for offensive purposes, right?
Right.
No warriors, no dragon knights. Axis's grandfather, uh, he broke that rule by enrolling Axis's father in the Dragon Knight Academy.
And
That
this is
is
what
why.
led his father to be in the wheelchair.
No, actually, that's his exploits as a Dragon Knight cadet and his brief service actually didn't have anything to do with his injury. But
It was the racing, right?
it was, yeah, he got injured in the dragon racing circuit towards the end of
Mm.
his career. I mean, yeah, it was the end of his career. But Axis's grandfather and like basically enrolling his Axis's father as a Dragon Knight cadet is what got their family kind of or their gatekeeper clan disbanded. Like they got stripped of their noble status. Like a lot of their clan got kind of dispersed to like other kingdoms and shit like that. It was a thing. But
So when we're talking about it, and
mhm,
we talked about the reclassification tournament, and
mhm,
like a couple characters that of course stood out because they were like the first two fights in the tournament. A couple that stood out, and it was in the first two matches were Rocks and Nimue.
yes,
So Rocks comes from a noble family, kind of
yes,
almost in the same way that Axis does,
yeah,
and it almost seemed as though like Rocks like felt a little bit for Axis a little bit. Like like don't worry about it. Like you feel like you can get there, you can get there.
yeah. So a couple things. It's actually so the Dragon reclassification tournament. It's more of like a public like festival event. It's like a spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The what happens in chapter one. That's actually the Dragon Knight Academy graduation exam. So it's
Ah.
more of like a close off, whatever. Um, what the fuck was I gonna say else? All right, whatever. I don't know what I was gonna say, but Rox definitely is like, oh yeah, Rox is the prince. He's the son of the king,
Right. And
right?
he chose to be a Dragon Knight.
Yeah,
Even though he probably doesn't have to be, right?
I mean, he doesn't have to be, but it kind of also is like it is expected of him. It
Okay.
definitely is expected of him. His family has kind of been holding it down for generations. They have a very powerful technique that they've kind of like they use to like kind of guard the kingdom. They kind of been the guardians for
Mm.
the last few
So
generations.
his dad is like an OG, the king.
OG, yeah, flame. It's like a flame. Their lineage is like flame magic attribute.
That
His dad is the blue flame. That's
that
his.
describes that describes the arrows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so yeah. Rocks. I mean his magic attribute is flame, but like he uses arcane magic. He uses just like basic like weapon. He'll make arcane weapons. Flame arrows, right?
Hmm.
Arrows, weapons. And armor. I mean, that's like his basic go-to. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's shit. He has a bow that he uses to kind of fast track the spells. It helps him, what's it called? Conserve mana and whatever. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's his deal.
So he has like almost like a skill set to where he has an ability to harness it, or better yet, a weapon to harness his power. But the thing is, he doesn't really even need the weapon.
He doesn't need the weapon. It's an Sorry, yes, it's an amplifier. It amplifies his mana, so like he can kind of get more out of less. He can get more attack out of less mana. I need to. I'm so high, I can't speak. But like, um, and yeah, it also it's quick. Well, nah, he can cast a spell quick
Or
enough.
better
It
yet,
it,
does
it
the
really
wep
just
does
concerns
yeah,
mana.
does the weapon make it more accurate?
It really just conserves mana. It's just like he doesn't have to think as much. He's not using as much mana. It's kind of
Uh,
just like he runs a little bit of mana through it and he can get like 10, 20 arrows out of it.
mm,
Versus like really kind of having to it's because he's like almost a prodigy when it comes to like mana control and like spell casting and manipulation. So it's like it's not hard for him to cast the arrows like by hand, but it's just like the level of energy. It's just less energy to use the bow. So it's like he can just go. He can, what I mean. It's a tactical thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now Nimue. Now I didn't bring her up before because we were talking about like the singular characters that were
Mm.
basically involved in probably the lore that happened a long time ago when we talked about the dragons, the humans, and the orcs,
Mm-hmm.
and better yet, the demons and the titans. We never brought up elves.
Ooh. Yeah.
So the reason that she's a dragon
Mm-hmm.
knight, as the same as anybody else, you basically have noble humans
Mm-hmm.
who of course have mastered this skill set for a long time. You have somebody who was of a noble trait
Mm-hmm.
who probably learned like magic basically through a hereditary function of magic throughout his entire family. You
Mm-hmm.
have the orcs who or better yet,
Oh yeah.
somewhat of folks that like why they got pushed out of society might be another thing, and why Ross seems to feel like, okay, the best people I need to manipulate are them. But better yet, just getting back to my original question,
Mm-hmm.
the elves,
Yes.
why are they here? And why did they choose to be Dragon Knights and not somewhere else?
So I'll tell you. And I've all right. So real quick, I'll address the orcs in that. The answer to most of your questions is that the blood feud is just like that long standing. So
Mm,
like when you go back 3,000 years before even that alliance between humans and dragons, when it was really kind of everyone for themselves, kind of just killing and surviving
hmm.
and all that. And I'm sure you have. I don't know. I might have to flesh this out more, but as I see it now, you have like humanity exists, but like in little pockets, as like it's still nomadic because shit is so chaotic. Like nobody's settling
Right.
down everywhere, right? Um, and like it's just like on a day to day as a human, it's like you're watching out for God knows what the fuck else, everything around you, including dragons, fucking demons, titans, fucking whatever mythical beasts, and then also you're like you're watching out for orcs. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
like war and bloodshed. Like there was just a lot of killing, and then through everything else that happened in the background with the alliance and like the ceiling and then like society popping up, civilization popping up, and all that shit, it
Hmm.
was like orcs. didn't really, I guess they never really got a chance to integrate into that society because it was just like that bloodshed, like that blood feud was still there and it never got solved. And so they ended up just kind of getting genocided, ran out, pushed down into caves, like pushed out of territory. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you see an orc, you kill an orc. It's not really like
Yeah.
kind of just what it is, right? And so fast forward now, that's why they're kind of living in caves around and like kind of scrounging for their survival. Um, goddamn, I forgot about the what was that other question?
About why?
Nimue
Yeah,
elves.
about Nimue. Yep.
Yo, all right. So elves, they are kind of separate. I'm gonna be honest. Like Nimue's half elf, but her mom was an elf, her father's a human, and she lives with her father, and she's in the capital. Um, her full we're fucking beyond. We're like hella spoiled, like really spoiled. I'm so high. So her her family, her clan, her fellow elves kind of live separate from humans. Like there's gonna be elves like like in civilization. You're gonna run
Right.
into elves here and there, right? But like for the most, like the majority of elves kind of are isolated from like the Seven Kingdom society. Like they're kind of just out in the forest in their own spot, uh, and they don't interact much with society because like. I'll be honest, they were the first, like elves were the first, like kind of humanoid, like I guess humans, if you were
Like
to stretch.
species that were around.
Yeah, they were the first ones to make that pact with the dragons. Like they
Ah,
initiated that. So like that's also why like yeah, elves are like definitely a lot closer with dragons. Like they're one of the types of people that kind of live with their dragons a little bit closer than
mhm.
humans do. Um and they generally have just like higher mana reserves. I think
Well, I
because
can
of
see
that
that
fact.
by basically like how quick her battle was. It was
Right.
like it was like go 1, 2, 3, click over.
Right. They're strong as shit. But the reason they're not like really integrated in society and like they're separate from the rest of like humanity, like as a whole,
Hmm.
is that and I this is something I actually have to flesh out a lot more. I'm gonna have to work on this. It's incomplete, but it's like they had something to do with like I'm pretty sure like the light like some of the light users who like got corrupt and like started fucking shit up and had to be taken down were like part of elves, like were elves. I think elves basically had to like in some way kind of take the fall for the calamity and the fallout that resulted after the sealing and like after the gates, after the gates and everything were taken care of, like that kind of corruption that spread throughout like the more powerful warriors. I think the elves had to like kind of take a fall for that, and like that's kind of why they live separately from humanity, but they also like kind of
Yep.
like resent humanity a little bit because of it, and that's kind of that is why there was like tension between Nimue and her father. That's why she doesn't know like any other elves, and she doesn't meet them until farther along in the series and shit like that. So yeah,
So one of the
heavy
biggest things
spoilers.
about that happened in this book is that
Hmm.
ultimately Roth infiltrates the orcs
Yes,
and better yet starts this rampaging attack that happens on the Cloud Kingdom.
yes.
When that particular thing starts to happen, of course, we understand Axis starts to basically like go into action and everything like that. His
Mhm.
mother and his sister are basically out in the public. All this chaos is happening, and
Mhm.
yet there's not a Dragon Knight showing up anywhere.
Right, right. Why the fuck?
Why didn't that
Um,
happen?
because at the end of the day, like they are dispersed. It's a large world, and like currently, the Dragonite core is engaged in like a series of conflicts across, not like I guess the Cloud Kingdom territories or just battlefields, like wherever across the globe. Right?
Yep.
They're dispersed at that very like especially on that particular day, and that's probably if we're being honest, like Roth probably was like observing that. He probably, you know, was kind of sensing, kind of keeping an eye out, so to
Hmm.
speak, for like any powerful mana signatures. Like, he was like, okay. This is a good day, and in addition to everything else that all the other conditions that were kind of in place for him to be able to cross over, like I'm sure that played a part in his decision to like kind of poke through that day as well. The fact that like
Yeah.
a lot of the more powerful, knights of the Cloud Kingdom weren't around. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because all that was left there was the city guard. And I ain't even going front. Like the city guard was kind of like holding their own
Yeah, they were, but
until
they
they weren't.
only. So it's like they like the city guard for the most part. That's like ground. That's ground forces. So it's like
Infantry.
infantry, right? They're going to use conventional like melee weapons, and then they're also, I believe, authorized at a certain level to use their own magic attributes if they have like a combat thing. But like other than that, they only have those.
Those
They have
spikes.
like they have gloves with like incantations on it. So it's like you run a
Oh.
little mana through it. You know what I mean? You can get a harder impact when you punch. Like it's like kind of a non-lethal solution, but it will fuck you up, right? But
Mhm.
it's like they don't. But it is a non-lethal solution, and they're like going against orcs. Like sorry, they're going against like orcs that are tweaking off dark magic. Like
Yeah, because I
you know
was
what I
about
mean?
to say there's something about Roth's possession of the
Yes.
orcs and basically how that corresponds with how they fight,
Like
kill,
he,
and
yeah,
die.
yeah. He gave him like berserker strength. Oh shit, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but like they like for one, they died and you see a lot of them drop, but yet they come back up and they got these spots on them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So it's like the initial like thing is like they're giving berserker strength, but it's like if you take them down, like if you take them down or you kill them, like they resurrect basically, and it's like three
Mm.
lives, and each with each resurrection, it's like they're more like a piece of their soul kind of gets traded away for more like strength. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's just like they're a bitch to take down,
How many times you
especially
got to kill them?
you gotta kill them 3 times
You have to kill them 3 times.
with conventional magic, but with light magic you can take them. That's what because light magic is the antithesis is the
Hmm.
what I mean the weakness.
Now, when you talk about the setting of this, from what we saw so far of that little bit of the Cloud Kingdom that
What?
we see in this first volume,
Mm,
from what you told me last time, like we haven't seen anything. They haven't even like gotten outside of the Cloud Kingdom, and that basically it sits in a mountainous range.
facts.
And the thing is, they're almost particularly at the bottom of this.
Yeah.
And yet, when this journey starts, because of how much of this melee and this chaos that basically happened in this town during that first volume starts to overtake that portion of the Cloud Kingdom,
Right.
people have to then flee.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the story, for the most part, is going to be a journey, correct?
100%. 100%. It's like the Cloud Kingdom. It's kind of like, I mean, once again, heavy inspiration off of like Black Clover. It's definitely set up like very similar to the Clover Kingdom, where like issue number one takes place in the capital, and that capital is like kind of like you said, it's built into a mountain. So there are different
Yep.
pockets. The higher you go is kind of where you're gonna get your nobility and your higher class individuals, and then kind of that base of that mountain is where you're going to find the commoners or the commoner class who live in the capital. And to your point, like this is once again like it is designed to be like a kind of like I guess like a Naruto Black Clover, more so like an Avatar: The Last Airbender
Yeah.
sort of series in the sense that the group, the main group, they travel and they go across the world and they're like,
Hmm.
what I mean, as they work to stop the big bad. So I mean, yeah, to your point, yeah, this series is after this first arc, this invasion arc, it's going to, you know, go across the world. You're gonna see different, a whole bunch of different places, different kingdoms, different terrains, all that shit. Um, and yeah,
Yeah. Now, another question though, at one point in time, are we going to meet Blaze, Axis' older brother?
ooh,
We
oh
we
yeah,
hear about him
we're
that you know what
full
I'm
in this
saying
flip.
because he's studying magic research.
So
And we brought up the little tidbit that,
yeah,
even though his dad's in the wheelchair, that the main like catalyst for him going to school to do this has been his father. He wants to get him back on his feet.
facts. We're gonna meet Blaze to answer your question. Audience, the reader meets Blaze, like arc,
Hmm.
third arc. Yeah. It's and that's like a time skip. Like, all right, I'm gonna lay out. So it's like we're meeting Axis now. We're in the first arc. And like I guess first arc is gonna kind of it's like halfway through the next kingdom. We're gonna go to the next kingdom after Cloud Kingdom is like we're gonna be in the Emerald Kingdom, and there's gonna be like a whole thing. They're gonna get their own little invasion that they have to deal with. But Emerald Kingdom is where Axis kind of first interacts with uh, a gatekeeper clan.
Mm.
That's his first interaction with them. That's also where he kind of learns in depth. Like he gets like he learns in depth about like um, purification magic, purification spells, the gates, like the magic around that, and like he gets an I like also kind of low key where we begin to see that he's a at least when it comes to light magic incantations
Mm-hmm.
that he's a genius or like that he's like very I don't know prodigious. I can't think of a fucking word, but you know what I mean. Like he picks that shit up like his
Oh, okay.
granddad. Um, but
Well, the way that you're bringing this up, Cloud
yeah,
Kingdom, Emerald
yeah,
Kingdom,
yeah.
are these basically like the sectors that are built on top of this mountain, or better yet, is this them basically like leaving the Cloud Kingdom, that mountainous range, and then going completely somewhere else?
So the cloud. Sorry. Fuck on my iPad. The Cloud Kingdom capital is built into the mountain. Uh, even like a little bit. I mean, there's even all right. So there's like the summit of the mountain is like the Cloud Kingdom capital, and then like it's like a mountainous range. So there's like it's a big fucking mountain. So there are
Mm-hmm.
other like the farther out you get, it's still mountainy, but it's still Cloud Kingdom. And then like you get past the mountain, and it's just like you know farther out, it's like flatlands and shit, and that's still like Cloud Kingdom territory. And then
Mm-hmm.
farther out, and then it's like you know what I mean. It's like then you eventually leave the Cloud Kingdom. Like it's just I don't know how to describe it. I might need to get somebody to like illustrate.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
because I
have
was
to
about
draw.
to say, I was like, at some
It.
point in time, I mean, I don't know how you gonna do it, but
Yeah,
you might have to make a map.
I'm 100%. Yeah, no. That's like I've been thinking about that. That's one thing I didn't do, but that's definitely on the you know what I mean on the to do list.
Word.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, the build out of not only the setting, not
Mhm.
only the specific groups, almost like they're different tribes.
Right.
Um, I know for sure that the orcs numbers were limited, and now that they like basically are out there fighting possessed, they're still almost like at that same number, regardless of the possession. How
Oh
do
yeah.
how do they build up their ranks?
Um, I mean, there are orcs all over the world, right? Like, they're different little pockets and
Ah,
shit. Like, they're like, I'm sorry, that's. Let me stop. There's not like orcs don't exist. I was about to say it's not politically correct, but it's like orcs don't exist. I was gonna say like they're not like roaches. I feel like it's fucked up to say they're like roaches,
nah,
but it's
you
like they're
can't
low
like
key
roaches. It's
like
like
they're it's
I guess every
racist.
I'm guessing that every kingdom has a subsection, and within those subsections there are orcs.
There's yeah, it's just like if if you're out and about and you're like the farther away you get from like civilization, if you're like out in the wilderness and like you wandering around some caves or in a certain place, like you might stumble upon a little pocket, like a little orc tribe or some shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they live secluded, like they're kind of nomadic, like they really just avoid society because like a group of orcs like near like a kingdom is gonna get probably hunted down and fucked up.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I mean, but yeah, orcs are around. Sorry, orcs are around. They're just like yeah.
Right.
If you don't want to run into them, stay on like the main roads and stay around cities and shit.
So we talked about it before. You elected to do this 45 pages.
Yeah,
So out of a conventional
sure,
22 to 26 page first issue.
sure.
Now with this first volume being this long, is
Mhm.
this now going to be the pace of the book?
Hell no, hell no, absolutely not. I just have a problem with like long pilot issues. Like
Mhm. But you
um
didn't seem to this time.
even well, truth be told, even this one, man, like if I could have, if I had the budget, if I had, if the timing was different,
It's a whole graphic novel, this first one,
yeah, I
which was
would have
good.
included. Nah, dude, I would have included more.
Mm.
I would have 100% included more. I would have probably combined what would be the second issue. I would have tacked that on too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we would have probably hit like 70 or 80 pages. You know what I mean?
Look, I wouldn't have been mad.
First issue.
I wouldn't have
Just
been
to
mad
get,
at it at all.
yeah, I think if, and that's one thing I noticed with, I'm not going to lie and act like it's even that like I read enough shit to whatever, but, um, there are a few mangas. I'm lying. It's just the My Hero manga. I just noticed that like the My Hero chapter, like chapter one of My Hero is like 60 pages.
Hmm.
I mean, long as fuck. And it's just like I write like that. Like I need. It's usually like the first few chapters. I got a lot of shit I got to include before we can kind of get on the
I
road.
think
And I
it's
can get into,
warranted. To be honest, I felt
you know
like
what I mean?
I not that I was supposed to figure out a lot, but yeah,
Yeah,
I got introduced to a lot of the main characters that were, of course, in this book. I got introduced to the setting that was in this book. I got
yeah,
introduced to, I got introduced not only to the plot but the subplot.
right,
So, which provided me with a lot more questions that I wanted to ask about the book because I felt like even within 45 pages, like that's what was going to basically like bring me in so that I could like tacked on to get ready for, the second part. Oh, unmute real quick.
my fault.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's just a lot of like if I wasn't constrained by budgets or time, that first issue would be it would just be you probably get the first arc. I'd get the first arc out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
first issue. You know what I mean? But instead, you have to break it up into like 3, 4, 5 issues. You know what I mean?
Dope. All right, look, either
Yeah,
way, I enjoy it.
appreciate it.
Nah,
Appreciate
me.
you. Yeah.
So, I for one, I appreciate you doing this with me again.
Mhm.
Because I felt like I needed more. I needed more, and I feel like for in order for us to get a lot of people to understand the book a lot more, and for people that are listening to the pod,
Mhm.
and once this drops on August 27th, I want them to get the entire lore that you're building. Like I said, the only thing that you was missing was a map.
Right. Right.
So as soon as you find somebody that can draw a map
Yeah.
with
100%.
with all the kingdoms in there, we gonna
100%.
we gonna be sold.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
but yeah, look, man, I look forward to this. Uh, I know that this drops on August 27th. You gonna put it out for a full 30 days?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Full
So,
30. Probably go up on Global Comics like a few weeks after that, and yeah,
oh, right after campaign's done.
yeah. After campaign's done, everything gets thrown up on. After their campaign's done, I'll throw it up on Global Comics, and then you'll have the physicals like on the website. You know what I mean? All
See,
nine.
man, that's a good move. That's a good
Yeah,
move.
appreciate you.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
Adam, appreciate you doing this with me again. I know, look, man, I
Thank you.
wanted to get you in here a second time so we could definitely get the bones of this.
Right, right.
So Keeper's Oath, Volume One, Issue One, dropping on August 27th. 45 pages for everybody that's out there. It's not like a single 22 to 26 issue first issue.
Right.
So go out there, definitely look out for that. Obviously, the inspiration of Naruto, Black Clover, definitely a fantasy art. I all the way through. But thank you again. We will talk about this, especially when the second issue drops. We will talk some more.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
All right. So for everybody here at the Faqs Project, Adam Downing, Resolve Comics. Obviously, from what he said, after this campaign's over, you're going to be able to get that on Global Comics. So if you don't have Global Comics already, please feel free to go out there and do so. But what we do want to do is fund the book. So get out there and get that. So for everybody here at the Faqs Project, Adam Downing, James Grandmaster Facts Boys, we are out.